There's an old saying, if you want to get a job done, give it to a woman. Well, in Irene Carr's case, you didn't give her a job. She just took the job she wanted to do and plowed ahead and made sure that it got done.
She spoke very proactively about issues that pertain to women. And I learned a lot from her because I started in 1984 with Ms. Carr. She empowered me as a woman.
Irene was beautiful. She was blonde, always wore a lovely suit, was so demure. You would think she came from the South. She didn't. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she came from Oneonta. And let me tell you, they must have backbones of steel.
Once in a great while, we are fortunate enough to encounter an individual who is fully dedicated to our mission and embodies the very values CSEA was built on. Irene Carr was one of those inspirational individuals, trailblazing a new path for women and bringing working families' issues to the forefront. CSEA took on a deeper meaning for her as she rose to the office of local president, serving in that role for 8 years at SUNY Oneonta. Carr's first major challenge as president came when Homer Folks, the last tuberculosis hospital in the state, closed abruptly in 1973. The hospital's closure meant job loss for 177 employees and CSEA members. Carr felt this loss deeply and vowed to educate members and fight. This crisis opened her eyes to the level of commitment and responsibility officers have to protect members, to do more and be more. Irene was a fighter, both in her role as local president and as CSEA's statewide secretary for 17 years. She recognized that working families needed to be prioritized by our union. Rather than wait for someone else to take the lead, Carr started CSEA's very first Women's Committee, as well as serving as chair of the AFSCME's Women's Advisory Committee for over a decade.
Irene could recognize what was important in a woman's life to give her self-worth and also be able to contribute not only to her family, but to her position in her union, in her workplace, and her community. She was phenomenal. There wasn't anything she didn't get you to participate in. There wasn't anything she didn't get you to listen to. And there wasn't anything that she didn't see a future for. And that I most admired about her.
She constantly pushed the boundaries of the position of secretary during a time when women were not routinely in the seat of power. She also went further, mentoring others, encouraging all secretaries to be leaders. She held a firm belief that the secretary's place isn't just behind a steno pad.
There was really no unusualness to having a woman be a secretary, whether it be to a union organization, your private clubs, the Rotary, whatever. Women took notes, women brought coffee. Women did not go forward first. Women did not make the rules. Women did not provide structure and an ability to advance on a position that many people saw only as a gateway versus one that she made a lot of power.
She made her own furrows in the field. She plowed her own way through the organization. I mean, that's what was so great about her.
She took time out to listen, but she was very open, willing to hear what you had to say, and she valued your input.
She was a leader in every sense of the word. She once said, "I'm a statewide officer of this union and therefore concerned with the business of this union. I've worked hard, taken positions, and have opinions."
Irene Carr took a stand. And taking that stance, she represented all CSEA members. And in representing them, she gave her sacrifices. She stood for us. She valued a lot of things that went on in our families, in our communities.
Carr recognized access to childcare as a barrier to women's employment and believed it to be the top labor issue of her time.
She recognized the fact that women couldn't get out into the workplace unless the children were taken care of. We're going through that right now with the pandemic.
From encouraging a Fishkill correctional facility to donate land and build a daycare with inmate muscle, to successfully convincing a prison director to give up his house to make it a daycare, she helped build more than 50 daycare centers directly impacting CSEA members. Carr reminded leaders of our duty to children and reminded everyone else to not underestimate the tenacity of a woman in delivering progress.
Every one of those years that Irene was on the scene, every single one of those years, she was working on daycare. Now, that wasn't the only thing she worked on. That was not the only thing she worked on. But that's what she became synonymous with.
No issue was too big for Irene Carr. She fought for training and job advancement opportunities, equity adjustments for women and minorities. She blazed the trail with 300 promotions to new titles, bringing attention to the need of ergonomics to prevent carpal tunnel syndrome, as well as safety and health risks with continued use of video display terminals. She promoted the need for a joint union-state AIDS training program at a time when the general public didn't know a lot about the virus. She tackled domestic violence, unemployment, hunger, and poverty. She was very politically active. She teaches us as union leaders to not limit ourselves, to persist and do more, be more. Always think of the membership. Never give up until you've done everything you can, and then do more. Pass it on and mentor someone, demonstrating continuous leadership, constant dedication to activism. Irene is an inspiration to us all.
I'm sure whether it's next year, the year after that, or the year after that, or whenever, that there's someone out there that you recognize having those qualities. You should keep them in mind for nominating to receive the Irene Carr Award.
What we have to do now is, what are the hindrances that women are facing? How do we bond together? How do we lead our women together for one cause?
We have to continue to live her legacy and pursue those fights and those things that she instilled in us as women of CSEA.
Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, prepare to meet the winner of the Irene Carr Leadership Award.